Hi, my name is Josh, and I'm presenting a thesis called Seamless. This project is proposing a stadium in Athens, Greece. In The Architecture of Complexity, Herbert Simon champions decomposition as the fundamental strategy for dealing with large and complex problems. He famously described systems as either decomposable, non-decomposable, or nearly decomposable, depending upon the nature of the interaction between subsystems. Too often, those architects who have followed Simon have chosen to opportunistically see the design of large buildings, especially those that must deal with challenging complexities of site, program, structure, and context, as decomposable problems. As such, in these situations, a whole range of specialists are typically brought in to separately deal with silhouette sets of issues. This may include those who specialize in facades, MEP, BIM, and in certain programmatic types. Such an approach to design naturally leads to fragmentation, to unwanted seams, in at least three aspects. First, formal systems tend to be expressed independently. In Emerson College, students' living circumstances frames the overall building. This 10-story square encloses two sculptural volumes, which wave through the center void. Second, programmatic functions tend to be isolated from one another. Complicated circulations interweaved in the airport and provide the necessary public or non-public links to tie the functional elements of the terminal together, but several screens divide the airport into segments. Third, the building itself tends to stand apart from its context. Placing a Major League sports stadium in an urban context has been a challenge for decades. Today's megastructures interrupt the city street grids, loom over neighboring buildings, and present a form quite foreign to the city. While design movements of the past embraced the separation of building systems, contemporary design favors synthesis. Even for large and complex buildings, contemporary design, at its core, wants seamlessness. In the context of large-scale and complex projects, a new approach to design that stitches up all the seams of the architecture is waiting to be discovered. Among all types of the buildings, the stadium is a highly integrated space of complexity, therefore professional sports games or stage events, so the core space is always separated from the rest. The megastructure makes the large capacity possible and provides excellent views according to the different sports regulations. They take up a vast amount of space in the city and transform the nature of the neighbor. It's challenging to make them sustainable because they are always crowded during the game days and empty in legacy mode. This thesis develops a new seamless design approach that eliminates the collision between tectonic components, between otherwise isolated space, and between the building and the city. The thesis starts with identifying the fragmentation of a stadium. First, the seams of the programs, inside versus outside. Mix the program and stretch the existing building elements. The stadium will have a gray space between the professional field of play and the entrance. Extend the concourse space to create a reversed sitting bowl for people gathering. The extensions will host public sports and events, and they are all connected to the inside bowl. Second, the formal language. A stadium is composed of three systems of construction work: the roof support, the sitting bowl, and the groundwork. Correspondingly, the thesis will work with three geometric languages to talk about the structure and the form of the stadium, which are lines, planes, and volumes. It's all about the transition between three languages. The thesis mainly talks about the geometric density among tetrahedron, polygon, and polylines. Last, the city context. Typical American stadia sit in the seat of parking lots, like Oracle Arena in Oakland, or like a European stadia sit in the city center cutting off the road on game days. The new approach brings the urban programs into the site and expands the stadium aperture out to the city. The design of large complex architecture is decomposable into construction, form, program, and so on, but there are also more subtle instances of hierarchy. The approach to retain integrity in architecture is seamless, stitch up the separations, and it is where buildings are blending in the city context. Tectonic systems are performing both structurally and aesthetically, and people walking into a building without being screened.